welcome to Journey with the Jays, Sunday NFL edition. Jake, John, JB, Spenser here with you for this Week 17 slate of games. We're going to pick him, and our matchups are coming right down to the wire. Jay and I, we're very close. He is half game ahead of me. He went 3-0-1 last week. So, JB, we will start with you. Give us your pick for, let's start with the Atlanta Falcons-Bucs game.
So Tampa Bay still playing for a lot here. You know, seeding is going to be so important come the playoffs. Tampa is going to want to get the best seed they can get. They're basically, a game behind the Saints. They can't really they looking at it right now. They can't win the division, but they're going to want to make sure that they have the best seed come the playoffs. So they're going to come out and take care of business. They're going to beat the Rams. Brady's going to go into the playoffs on a high, and I think this is a 10-point game. Even though Atlanta's played well towards the end of the season, I don't think there's much to watch here in Atlanta. Spend your Sunday, watching some old Hawks games, spending some time with Trey. I think that's a much better use of your time. What do you think, John?
I didn't think you would go to me first because I had the worst record. But I'll just say I think Atlanta's going to win. I think I'd take Atlanta if I'm betting because, in my mind, Tampa Bay will probably rest their guys because they have the 5th seed. They can't get any higher than that because they're not winning the division. So 5's high as they go. The only team that can catch them record-wise is the Rams. And I don't think they're worried about the Rams beating them for the 5th spot. So I think Tampa can give Brady a week off, rest him up for the playoffs, which they desperately need to get him healthy, give him a week, give their older guys like Gronk a week. And, you should be able to beat them without your guys. But I think ultimately the Falcons cover. It's a rather large spread, I think, for betting. So I think the Falcons cover this. I think the Falcons probably actually win because Tampa Bay rests their guys. They don't really care about this game. And, then Falcons will cover, and just like they did against Kansas City, which 2 of you were right about that last week.
Yeah, I like the Buccaneers in this game to cover the 6.5. They found their offensive rhythm, even with Blaine Gabbert at quarterback. So I just like them to cover. I think that Atlanta doesn't have much to play for. It's been a very rocky year for them. A lot of just changes in regards to a new head coach, injuries. I think they're finished. I think they come out flat. I think Tampa Bay wallops them. So Tampa Bay with the spread.
I'm with John on this. I mean, not the fact that Tampa Bay has nothing to play for, because I understand that logic, of course, and we've talked plenty about that, but not even that. Honestly, Atlanta is just, for some reason, it's baffling me why they're even playing, competitively in these games, because they really have nothing to play for. But they're playing, relatively speaking, pretty competitive in their last few games and keeping it close in terms of the spread. I've been wrong just about every time I've doubted them. And look, I've come to my senses and decided I'm just going to stop betting against them. Something about this Falcons team, they're not good by any stretch of the imagination. But to keep games close, for no real good reason, I think Tampa wins this. But at 6.5, I could see Tampa winning on maybe a field goal, or maybe even 4 or 5 points, something like that. I could see that happening. I'm not saying Tampa's going to lose because they're not. Even if they rest their starters, I still pick Tampa to win. But in terms of covering, I actually think Falcons will keep it close. Again, look what they did to the Chiefs last week. Chiefs had things to play for still. They secured the number 1 spot last week at least. I mean, there's something there for them. This week with really not a lot to play for, and just, I guess, probably going to rest most of their starters. You're probably right, John. Falcons will probably keep it close, but Tampa still wins. So if you're betting, I would still pick Atlanta to cover. If you just need to know who I think wins, Falcons are definitely not winning. I'm sorry to say that.
All right, let's get to our locks of the week. JB, before you give yours, please state your overall record so all the listeners know how well you've done this year.
So I am 22, right?
21.
21 and 2.
Yes.
Flat 500, 3-0-1 last week. Back in first, where I'm going to end the year after a nice 4-0 week this week, or 3-1. Keep riding with me. This is how winners do. We finish strong. You know, I'm not going to bench myself like Flores would bench Tua, which is exactly why this week Buffalo
We finished strong in our fantasy league, dead last.
fantasy for nothing means nothing. This is pride here. Anyway, moving along. You know, getting back to benching Tua, which is why, you know, when the Dolphins are going up to Buffalo this week in the cold weather, they're not going to win this game. Buffalo is going to come out and play really good football like they've done all year, and they're going to handle the Dolphins. They're going to start Tua. They are giving him the playbook to run. They're handcuffing him. They're going to pull him out again and destroy his confidence a little bit more as they've done each week. You know, their defense has played great throughout the whole year. But when it's all said and done, you can't do this to a young quarterback. This is not the way you set up a team to win in the future. You're not winning the Super Bowl this year. You know, it comes down to, I'd rather, if I'm not going to win the Super Bowl, get a better pick. Making the playoffs means nothing in this league. You know, you're just a sacrificial lamb, and that's what the Dolphins are this year. They're not Dolphins. They're sacrificial lambs. Jake, what do you think?
This is a game I intentionally avoided because it's going to come down to, as we're recording this Tuesday, we don't know if Buffalo is going to rest their starters. If Buffalo is resting their starters, I just have to pick the Dolphins only because, you know, that's the backup team. But ultimately, I don't know that the Bills will sit their starters. I'm going to tell you why. You look at last year in the Ravens, and they sat their starters in the last week, and look what happened in the first, you know, when they got to the playoffs, right? They didn't look so good. I think teams at times have learned sometimes it's best to just play your guys and try and go on a win and go into the playoffs hot. And I think the Bills are going to play their starters at least part of the game. And I get the feeling that when they start that, they'll get a sizable lead, they'll take their starters out at some point. And even still, just because it's a 1-point spread, so it's basically a pick 'em this week at that point. And a pick 'em, even if the Bills take out their starters, I really think the Bills will build a nice sizable lead that the Dolphins won't come back enough. I'm not saying the Dolphins won't make it a game, but I think ultimately it's going to be the Bills build up a lead. Even if they take their starters out, they'll still win by just a little bit at that point. So I'm taking the Bills at basically just a pick 'em. Jon?
All righty. Well, as of right now, the Bills starters I just looked it up, are projected to play as of right now on Tuesday. So looks like they'll probably play their guys, but their first practice is Wednesday, so we'll see about that. As far as JB, like, who says the Dolphins can't win the Super Bowl? Who says they can? Who says they're destroying Tua's confidence? Like, come on, you can't say they're destroying his confidence. The guy, looks confident as ever. Just because they pulled him, big deal. Dolphins are going to win this game. I'd say go with the Dolphins in this one. They need it more. The Bills really, they're going to play their guys. They don't have as much. They don't have their backs against the wall, which the Dolphins do. And Flores is a good coach. He's going to have them come to play. Even if the Bills play their guys the whole time, guess what? The best cornerback in the league is going to cover Stephon Diggs. Boom, shut him down. Who else is going to you going to go up against? With Cole Beasley, Gabriel Davis. No, those guys aren't very good. Your tight ends aren't good. You shut down Stephon Diggs, this offense isn't that good. So, and that's what X is going to do. He leads the league in picks, 9. Picked up Patrick Mahomes, remember that. So he's going to shut down Diggs, and then that offense ain't going to do nothing. So go with the Dolphins in this.
One of the best cliches in sports is when someone references a team and says, they're a great story this year. That's the Miami Dolphins. It's a great story. Yeah, great story.
The
young
Browns would be a great story.
I mean, were the Dolphins projected to have a 10-win season? I think not.
Were they projected to win 5 games after cutting all their guys last year and trading all their guys last year and going to New England and beating Week 17? No. But Brian Flores has them playing really well. So I wouldn't say great story. I'd just say they're coached really well.
Okay. Anyway, whatever you'd call them, they're not that good. You said who doesn't think they're going to win the Super Bowl? Everybody doesn't think they're going to win the Super Bowl outside of people who root for the
number
team.
1 ranked defense in the NFL.
Does not matter. The Bills are going to beat the living snot out of them, as I like to say. They're not going to make the playoffs. It's going to be a disappointing year. If anything, Tua is going to struggle against the Bills defense, who have been playing well as of late, and they're going to have to go to Fitzpatrick, and it's going to be too late, and they're going to put Ryan in a bad situation like they have been all year, and they're going to put Tua in a bad situation like they have been all year. I 100% think that this Dolphins team is just not a win team. They're not as good as advertised. I think they lose on Sunday.
It's hard to be not as good as advertised when you have the best defense in the NFL.
Yeah, but
No,
as you mentioned on our Thursday show, they don't have any weapons on offense. So which is it? Are they good or are they bad? Does Tua need weapons, or does he have the best defense in football? You can't have it all.
The NFL, when you have a defense, you can win any game in the playoffs. When you have the best defense in football, gives you an opportunity.
Sure.
Like great opportunity. You're coached well, great defense. Gives you
like I said, you used the word great. I'm calling them a great story. Jake, let's get to your lock of the week.
Yeah, this week I did it a couple weeks ago and didn't work out, but this week I'm doing it again. Taking the Browns. As strange as that may sound, I'm taking the Browns, and there's a simple reason behind all of this. Steelers don't care about this game. We talked plenty about this. They're resting their starters. The Browns are playing against the B team, and it's not to diss the Steelers, but they're playing the B team. And it was a 7.5-point spread this week. Look, the Browns have to win this game, and they know that. This is, win or go home for them. And so, obviously, the Browns have a lot to play for. The Steelers have nothing to play for. Steelers couldn't care less, probably, about this game. It means nothing. The worst they do is, I believe, drop down to the 3 seed. I think that's the absolute worst-case scenario for them. They're not going, anywhere below that. They don't care. They want to rest their starters. They want to have their guys healthy for the playoffs. That's what matters to this team, and I don't blame them. I'm with it. So for the Browns, this means everything. For the Steelers, that means nothing. You have a good offense going up what's going to be a B-team defense. If it was the A-team defense, this would be a different conversation. It's B-team defense. They'll be fine. At 7.5, Browns all day. If it was, if it was all the Steelers starters, I'd be a lot more worried. But against the B team, not worried at all. It's Brown easy. Browns have a lot to play for, and they're going to come out, and they're going to play well this week. What do you think, JB?
I'm going to go with the Steelers. The Browns, I don't know. Game against the Jets, they look disinterested. You have to show up when you have a chance to make the playoffs. Baker is in the position to put this team where they haven't been, and they didn't show up against the Jets. The Jets. That's really all I have to say. I mean, Baker should go in the desert with Flores. Guys have disappeared for less. That's all I'm going to say. John?
Oh, man, you just keep coming back to us, don't you? Look, you're harder on the Dolphins than you are the Browns. Browns just got beat by the Jets, the worst team in football, the worst team we probably, the worst franchise we probably have ever seen. And they got beat by them, and they looked awful against them. Yeah, they were missing 4 guys, but it doesn't matter. Like, that should have been a game where Baker Mayfield went off against that team. That shouldn't have been a game. I'm not so sure the Browns cover or let alone win this because they couldn't beat the Jets, and Mike Tomlin's still coaching. Even with the B guys, Mike Tomlin's still there. So I think the Steelers are going to try and throw this game because, they don't care, and they're going to end up walking into a win somehow because the Browns are going to do what the Browns do, just like last week. So somehow Steelers will cover and win this game even though they don't care.
Yeah, this is an interesting game for me because it's a Mason Rudolph revenge game, right?
Ooh,
everyone remembers when he got hit in the head with a helmet. Vegas knows this, and I understand that the Heater app, they said it was 7.5, right, John?
Mm-hmm.
7.5, and shout out to the Heater app. We get all our spreads from them. I like the Browns to cover this. I understand Rudolph's going to be fired up. I also understand he's not a very good quarterback. So I think Baker's going to show up. I think the Browns are going to run for like 200 yards on the Steelers. It's going to be one of those days. I think it's going to be, say, a 24-10 game. But I like the Browns to cover here. I think that's a good pick by you, Jake. All right, let's get to my lock of the week, and it is the Baltimore Ravens. They are playing the Bengals. They are away. They need to win this game. Lamar Jackson loves to beat up on stinky teams. The Bengals are a stinky team. This is going to be like a 35 to 14 game or something like that. I don't think it's a contest. I think this is a pretty easy lock of the week for me to pick. Dare I say, You know what? I'm not going to say layup. This is a slam dunk. JB?
Ravens, 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 and the Ravens. I mean, this is like, they're in training camp this week to get into the playoffs. The Bengals are just a couple of years away from being a good team. This division is going to be the best in football. The Steelers are going to be in trouble because they need to look towards the future, because the other three teams in the division have a bright future with their quarterbacks and their teams. But this week, it's all Ravens. Jake?
I'm 100% agreement. It's easy Ravens win, really, because Bengals have nothing to play for. Again, kind of the same thing that the Browns have. There's nothing to play for in this game. And the Ravens have plenty to play for. They are fighting for their playoff lives. If they lose this game, they're likely not to make the playoffs. And barring some miracle that, the Colts also lose, that would be kind of the only scenario, I believe, that they would still make the playoffs. So the Ravens not only are playing a bad team, they know they got to make the playoffs. So they have a lot to play for. I think they're going to crush them this week only because they have so much to play for. If they had nothing to play for, it might be a different story, but considering what's at stake, I'm taking the Ravens. Absolutely, not even a question. It's going to be all day Ravens. I'm going to say they're going to score probably like 35-40 to 7-10 maybe. It's going to be not even close. John?
Actually, I disagree with you guys. I think the Bengals, they've been playing good football lately. I mean, they beat Pittsburgh. They beat Deshaun Watson in Houston. Those, beating Deshaun Watson's not easy. He's a good quarterback. And you beat Pittsburgh. That was impressive. So covering wise, I think the Ravens win, but I think the Bengals can cover. That's a rather large spread to bet on. 13 points, it's a lot. I think the Bengals lose by 10. And obviously cover that. And, so I would say go Bengals whenever it comes to betting. That's a large spread to cover, for anybody. So I'm going to go
I think
Bengals.
John's still hungover from New Year's Eve.
The Bengals have been playing good football for Zach Taylor lately. Brandon Allen's been playing good football for them. Gio Bernard's been running hard.
John's got the disagree button every time we speak.
I just saying.
All right, John, who is your lock of the week?
My lock of the week is the Saints. Saints at Carolina, 6.5 points. Favored on the road. So actually they're favored by 9.5, but the Panthers get 3 of them back. So really you could take the 6.5. That seems generous instead of it being 9.5. So I would go Saints on the road. This one just seems easy. I know Carolina's been playing hard as well, much like the Bengals, but Saints are trying to get that number 1 seed. They want it bad. And since they have something to play for, we're going to go on the road and they're going to wallop the Panthers. Maybe Kamara runs for another 4 or 5 touchdowns, but Saints all day.
Yeah, I'm with you, John. I mean, look, Saints have something to play for. It's kind of the same. It's kind of a theme of what we've talked about, right? I mean, do teams have something to play for? And the Saints obviously have something to play for. We just mentioned the Saints are fighting for that number 1 seed right now. I mean, for me, if it was just a random week that the Saints were just playing anybody really at all, whatever week, right? The Saints are just playing a random meaningless game, it might be different. I might still like the Saints, but again, my tune may change. But against a bad Panthers team in a game that means a really a huge amount to this team in terms of where they get the playoffs, because obviously they probably want that first round bye. We know the Saints are going to be playing their starters. They want that first round bye. They want that number 1 seed. They're going to do everything they can. So I'm taking the Saints this week.
Yeah, I'm with you all the way. The Saints are, they need to have a dominant win going into the playoffs. They're playing for something. They want to get to the Super Bowl, and this is a statement game. Even though they're not playing a team of equal opposition at this point, this is, showing the NFC what they have to look forward to come playoff time. Our Giants, when we don't make the playoffs, but, the Redskins or Cowboys do, this is what you have to look forward to if you have to face the Saints. So it's not going to be a fun game, and I feel bad for the Panthers.
Give me the Carolina Panthers plus 6.5 at home. I think they're going to upset the Saints. I think it's going to be a huge Matt Rule end of the season win. They're going to look good doing it. They're going to carry positive momentum into the offseason. The Saints just beat up on, was it the Minnesota Vikings last week? Who did they annihilate? Yep, there you go. So they're going to have a little bit of a hangover from that win. I love the Panthers to bring it. This is a divisional game, and I think they'll end this season with a Matt Rule win. All right, let's give our other two picks of the week. JB, we will start with you.
So, obviously, we went over the Bills. I have Tampa. Green Bay, big game against Chicago. I got Green Bay -5.5. I think that's going to be a huge game for Green Bay, playing for playoff seeding. They need to come out and win. And Sunday night, when it all is said and done, and I win our little championship here, the Eagles and Jalen Hurts will take the Redskins out of the playoffs. And not my Giants, but the Dallas Cowboys will be going to the playoffs. Yes.
I hope not. Oh, I don't want to see any.
And we could all watch Jerry Jones gloat as he won the worst division in football. And we could all be disappointed at the Giants blowing a chance at a great pick by winning games that meant nothing. But at least we didn't destroy Daniel Jones. We let him play. Who's next? Spenser?
He's already destroyed. He's a bad quarterback.
Yeah, I won't disagree with you there, John. My two other picks, so I have the Ravens -13 as my lock. I have Tampa Bay -6.5 against Atlanta. I love Tennessee -7.5 against Houston. Part of me thought, okay, Deshaun Watson's going to want to play for pride. But then I realized if Tennessee wins this game, they solidify the division. Does anyone know if they play before the Colts do or if they play at the same time?
All the important games will be at 4:30 or 4:25 or whatever.
There you go. So you saw, J.J. Watt's big blow up after Houston's loss. He pretty much told everybody on the team, if you're not going to give any effort, get out of here. About 10 years ago, I think that would have motivated guys. Nowadays, I just think guys are like, all right, man, cool. We're not going to show up. So what are you going to do? I think that's going to be Houston's entire demeanor on Sunday. I think that Tennessee's going to beat them by a lot of points.
All right. Well, I'll give my
I have one more pick.
Oh,
it's Philadelphia. I'm with JB. I think the Eagles are going to win against Washington. They're 1.5 underdogs at home. I like Hurts to come out, spoil Washington's chance at the playoffs. So the Giants, JB, not the Cowboys, can sneak in and win the NFC East.
So why don't we make that our tiebreaker game? Well, we're not going to be tied because I have two ties. So, but if there's a tie, you have the Giants, I got the Cowboys.
Done. I can't believe you're picking against Danny Dimes. You're crazy.
I just solidified the win. If there's a tie, I'm real happy now.
This is JB's nice and happy. He just got himself basically a guaranteed win. Speaking of guaranteed wins, I'm going to give you 4 guaranteed wins right now. I already gave you 3 of them, actually. I gave you the Browns at 7.5. Falcons at 6.5, and the other pick I had was also the Saints. I mentioned them. My last pick this week, I'm going to be the Patriots against the lowly Jets in Foxborough at 1 o'clock, and it is only a 3-point favorite for the Patriots. Look, Bill Belichick is just going to try and get a final win because you know what? That's what he does. We all know Bill Belichick is one of, if not the greatest coach of all time. And you know that he's not going to quit. Even in a game that means absolutely nothing for either team and has zero implications for anything in terms of draft stock because Jets have guaranteed their pick at least. I don't think Bill Belichick's thinking about that. He wants to win. He wants to do what he always does, which is go out there and compete as hard as have his team compete as hard as they can. And that's what Bill Belichick's going to have them do. Bill Belichick's going to go out there. He's going to win this game with the Patriots. Cam Newton's maybe not going to look good necessarily, but he's going to get one last win as a Patriot. If he doesn't play with them again, we don't know. But I'm definitely taking the Patriots this week to beat the Jets because Jets suck. Even though they've played well the last few games, they still suck. The Patriots are at least okay enough to win.
John?
All right, my picks. As I said, Atlanta is going to cover. Green Bay, -5 against Chicago. The Saints, as I had mentioned. And then I'm going to actually go with the Colts, -13.5 from my other pick. I'm going to choose the Colts against the Jags, -13.5. Colts need this game bad. Jags have nothing to play for. So give me the Colts in that one for my final pick. I'm going to go 4-0. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to win this whole thing. Sneak right under you guys and steal
John,
the
hold
show.
on. You know you can't win this whole thing,
JP
right?
has 22 wins. I can win 4 games.
You're not going to win all 4. No.
I'm going to
Because
go
I'm gonna
4-0. JP's going to go 0-4. I'm going to come
John,
right back, storm
John,
back.
JB, I believe, picked Tampa. So
Green Bay.
no, so I'm talking about the Tampa game. So
Yeah.
JB had Tampa. So the only way you're going to get it, JB is going to have to completely flop. From poor Spenser all still be out, and Spencer happens to have Atlanta as well. Just an FYI.
He has Tampa Bay. He's all over
And
Tampa Bay.
But we both have Green Bay, so
Oh, he does.
so the best you could do is pick up 3 games.
Look,
And that would tell
do
you.
you want me to switch so that way I can catch you? I can do that. I can switch if you want me to. Probably not going to win all 4. None of us will.
You're
We're
going
all
to switch
going.
at the end of the show just because you think you're going 4-0. John, as per usual, you are on some crazy pills today, my man.
I try.
Till next season, the regular season, when Trevor is in Jacksonville, the Jets blow another draft pick on whoever. What a fun NFL season. Did any of you guys think we were going to see 17 weeks of NFL football?
Nope.
No,
Did not.
I know we talked about that. Not in a million years.
I'm impressed. Kudos to the NFL for getting us this far.
Hey, maybe one day we'll all be allowed back in the stadiums. Who knows?
That is
crazy.
what everybody listening to this show is hoping for one day at least. But
If we're in Dallas, we could go.
you mean in Jerry's world?
Exactly.
He lives in his own world.
There'll be a playoff game there, guys. I said it.
Oh, man. No way. Meadowlands, baby. New Jersey's hosting one. All
Will
right.
you go to that? Will you go to that if they host one?
We can't.
I can't. What do you mean?
They don't have fans there. I don't know who has fans and who doesn't.
Jersey's one of the most strict states in the country
Okay.
regarding COVID stuff. All right. I think that does it for this week's episode of Journey with the Jays, NFL Sunday edition. Thanks to everyone for tuning in with us. Catch us on Twitter, YouTube. Do we have an Instagram?
Yep. Instagram, Facebook group. We got everything.
Pinterest, LinkedIn. No, I'm kidding. But still, check us out everywhere. Spencer, Jake, JB, John, pleasure picking with you guys this year. And may the best man win on Sunday, JB.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Everybody have a good one.